Hello, everybody. How you going? It's Stephen McGuinty here again. Today is day number 4, and in the dive into the book of Proverbs. And today is really going to be very interesting. There's a lot that we can glean out of this that's really going to help us, in trying to give us guidance and direction that we need for our lives. And so I think that if we start it off, it says in Proverbs chapter 4, verse number 1, it says, "My children, listen when your father corrects you. Pay attention and learn good judgment, for I am giving you good guidance. Don't turn away from my instructions, for I too was once my father's son, tender loved as my mother's only child. My father taught me, take my words to heart, follow my commands, and you will live." What I like about this is that it starts off saying, I'm using the New Living Translation, other translations say, "my sons." And so it's saying, listen when corrected. It's really important that whenever we get guidance from people, we have to be really active listeners. Listen to what they're saying. And sometimes getting correction can be a difficult thing to receive. But what I like about the book of Proverbs, it's telling us that getting and heeding correction will absolutely benefit you in your life. It goes on to say, pay attention, which means that I need to not just be fleeting in my listening, but to give an active thought. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to mull it over. I'm going to work through whatever issue it is and see to its completion. And then I'm going to make my decisions from there. So giving it thought is a really good thing. One thing I like about this, it says, when you look at verse number 1, it shows the transgenerational nature of the instruction. So it is a grandfather to father to son, because here the father is saying, for I too was once my father's son, which means that he too was taught stuff by his father. And I like what my grandfather always used to say. He'd say that I have been your age, you have not been mine. And I think when he's saying that, he's saying, look, man, I've walked this path that you're walking, so I've got something beneficial to actually tell you that is going to add value to your life. Yesterday, we spoke a lot about having mentors, people to guide you along the way. And I think that it's absolutely significant that we take heed of that, having people who can speak into our lives, people also that we trust, number one, people who know whose best interests are for us, people who are not intimidated or who will not be intimidated by our dreams and by aspirations. And they would speak into your life, help you give guidance based on their wisdom that they've gained over the years. And I recall in 2018, I had gone to a cafe. I was waiting for a shop to open and it was going to take a while. So I went into a cafe to have something to eat. And what I witnessed in that cafe was there was a table that was full of, that had elderly men and younger men. And I think some of these men had their kids there. And as I sat and I reflected, I thought, wow, what an absolutely amazing scene. Because I could see from there that there was, the age groups were represented. There were many years of experience within that group. And as I was reflecting, I was just thinking about my own life. And at that stage, all my fathers were passed away. All my uncles had passed away. And I was just reflecting on how great it would have been to have them in my life as I was progressing through life, for them to speak into my life and sharing some of the wisdom that they had gained. And I was just imagining the things that were being imparted, both from the elderly people to the young people, and of course the young people coming up with today's new technology, today's new way of thinking, and applying that thinking to the old way of doing things. How much could have been gained? Now, I know that in this instance, there would have been things that you cannot get in the textbooks. There's certain things that only experience brings, and that is normally passed down from generation to generation. And so I was really envious of that. And this is why it's important that when we have parents, when we have people that we speak into our life, we give them the due respect. And I would just say that if you've got parents that are in your life that are still around, you know what? Try and glean as much as you can from them, because they've walked the road before you. They have seen some things. This is why it's important that, old lions, you never really see many old lions around, but they're good because they've experienced it all. They've been through some battles, and that's what you want. You want to be able to glean from people that have been battle tested, that have gone through the mill, that have gone through tough times, and they've come through the other side. And that is why I think we love winners, because they've struggled and struggled, but eventually they have got across the line. And that is why we want to learn from them. And verse number 5 to 7 says, get wisdom, develop good judgment. Don't forget my words or turn away from them. Don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Getting wisdom, love her and she will guard you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. And whatever else you do, develop good judgment. Clear thing from there when it says get, which means you got to buy, you've got to acquire. And so that means it might cost you a lot. It says, though it costs you all, still make sure that you get wisdom. So, and I think that one of the key things to do is when you're looking at whether you're learning from somebody through books, through conferences, through workshops, don't look at it as I'm spending money here. Oh my goodness, I just spent $30 buying this book by so-and-so. Look at it as an investment. Because when you look at it as an investment, which it is, you are going to expect a return on that investment. So whatever you do, whatever wisdom that you need to move you forward in your life, guess what? Pay for it. Don't sort of say to yourself, that's a waste of money. Because if you don't do anything now, imagine what 5 years is going to be like. You're just going to be the same. So just get over it and pay whatever you need to pay to get whatever it is that you need to move you forward in your life. Even if it moves you, if it's small tweaks that you're making, those tweaks over time will amount to a hell of a lot. And so the one thing as we learn through this chapter is that wisdom has a way. As you follow the ways of wisdom, you will not stumble. You will follow the right path. And it contrasts that to somebody who doesn't have wisdom. And also that means they don't have discernment, because wisdom gives you discernment to be able to look through things, break things down into its different component parts and work that out, and then decide or make a realization of what the consequence is going to be, and then decide whether you want to go down that path. Now, when you don't have wisdom, you have nothing to guide you, and therefore you will not be able to see the consequences of your actions because you are lacking in discernment. So, wisdom is the principal thing. Some versions of between verses 5 to 7 say, in all you're getting, get understanding, which means do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you have the understanding that you need, whether it's going to be in parenting, whether it's going to be in business, whether it's going to be for your own self-care and your own mental health, whether it's going to, you might need an instructor for, a coach for the gym that's going to help you maintain or to reach whatever goals you have in regards to your physical health. And we know that physical health and mental health are more important than financial health. Because the reality is that if you have $1 million now, but you've got poor health or you've got ill health, that $1 million ain't going to help you. So that means we do need people that are, you can have coaches actually for all the different areas of your life that will help you move forward. Big organizations, they rely on consultants all the time, people that will allow them to make small adjustments that are always going to keep them at the cutting edge. So if big organizations can do it, we too can learn from them. Which is why do you think that, I guess we would consider rich people, they've got accountants, they've got lawyers, they've got bankers, they've got financial advisors, people that are going to help them protect whatever it is that is theirs, but also importantly, help to grow whatever it is, whatever wealth that they have. And I think the last insight that I will bring today is from verses 20 to 27. And what I will share here is really going to be help shift the way that we think through things. It says, my child, pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully to my words. Don't lose sight of them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart, for they bring life to those who find them and healing to their whole body. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Avoid all perverse talk. Stay away from corrupt speech. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked, and keep your feet from following evil. Understand from those 7 verses, the reference to the heart stands at the center of the poem. If we look at that as a poem, it stands at the center of it. And the body parts that are mentioned before the heart function as receptive organs. So we've got the ear, we've got the eye. It's basically saying what I hear and what I see is going to affect what goes into my mind. And therefore, after that, those body parts that are mentioned after heart are controlled by it, which is the mouth, which is the speech, which is what I speak, my eyes for keeping direction, for preventing me from stumbling and remaining on the right path, and of course, my feet for traveling on the way of wisdom. This is why it says that, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So now I'm going to be very mindful of what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, because that will then determine what I'm speaking. And the speaking part is where a lot of us can get tripped up, where we say things to ourselves about ourselves that do not build us up, that we always tear each other down. We're calling ourselves names whenever we forget stuff. And even though that might sound trivial, I don't think it is. I just think that you always need to speak positively to yourself. Now, of course, if you're making mistakes, you don't sort of like lie and say, and try to sugarcoat whatever it is. But I think that you need to be mindful of the talk that comes out of our mouth, especially about ourselves, that, oh, flip, I'm useless. I can't do this or I can't do that. That self-talk is very important. And of course, our eyes, as we have wisdom, it's going to allow us to guide us where we are going so that we prevent from stumbling and we remain on the right path. And then lastly, our feet, we are always going to be walking in the right direction. And so be mindful of what you're hearing, be mindful of what you're seeing, because that will determine what you speak and of course, where your eyes go. And so I hope that 2023 is going to be the year that you make an active choice to say, I am going to take responsibility and a choice and make the positive choices for my life that are going to move me ahead and embrace whatever life has for you. So can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Peace.